So a lot of questions are coming in on how I try to divide my money in an auction draft and kind of what the strategy is. One of the things floating around in the industry is the 175 to 85 split, 175 on hitting, 85 on pitching. So it's like 10:30 right now. I'm doing an auction at 1 p.m. So this is going to be kind of the long version of the answer. I'm going to take you under the hood, into the lab, into my auction draft prep, really break down my process. It's going to be the long answer to how I split up my money and what the approach is. But generally, to answer the first question, the 175 to 85 split, and I think where that comes from, you're leaning towards hitting, you're spending more on premium bats, and you're spending a little less on the pitching, and you're making it work. My guess is in that 85 split, it's something between $60 and $70 on starters, and you're saving a little bit for your closers. And the reason I think this is just kind of injury risk. And honestly, you could build the team differently. If you wanted to build deep pitching, let me just give the contrasting answer. If you wanted to build hardcore pitching, and we're talking about 5 category, 10 category, as opposed to a points league. If this was a points league, we would definitely be spending more on pitching because pitching and 2-start pitchers would be controlling the game more, and I would be up on pitching. But if we're talking this 10 category head to head, if you were to build pitching, I think you'd get premium arms. You try to buy up and get premium aces. But to protect your aces, you'd have to go and get quality, solid ratio relief pitchers. And you already spent on high-end pitching. You might not go that deep on your bench. Or because you're concerned about some of your hitters, your bench has some later options, some guys that might fill in case, a Paul DeJong doesn't pan out the way you want him to. But this is my issue. This is why I'm going back, and it goes back to the overall strategy. My bench is going to be filled with extra arms, extra late arms. So during the week, I'm getting everybody in, and I'm trying to win wins and win Ks. But because I'm using kind of a subpar, lower tier pitching, there's a chance that my WHIP and ERA get blown up from time to time, and I lose them. And it's not because, DeGrom did his job or Carrasco did his job, but I was using a late Ronaldo Lopez, and he ran into a rough patch, and I lose the ERA, so I'm kind of devaluing where my aces are. And since my team is going to be so deep, my strategy is I'm trying to spend in a way as little on pitching as I can. And to go back to the health point, I mean, we could consider, when you're drafting, consider nobody's going to be injured. Consider no one's going to be injured. How will this guy look if he plays a full season? You can go to swing the pendulum the other way. Everybody's going to get injured. So if everyone is generally injury prone, we shouldn't really worry about it. But in general, the pitcher can be going well, forearm strain, Tommy John, goodbye. And that's kind of the risk I'm paying on a high-end, hard-throwing ace. DeGrom's velocity ticked up from 96 to 97 last season. Where'd he find it? He does a strain, he does an oblique. There's $40 just gone. And again, while hitters can get injured, it's just a little bit less likely. They're a little bit more steady grinding. Their concerns are running into each other, running into the outfield, getting hit by a pitch, taking a pitch on the forearm, the elbow, fracturing something, maybe some pulls, but not necessarily just your arm is broken and you're out for 2 years. So that's where I think it's coming from, to switch most of your money over to hitting. But I go a little bit deeper. I mean, I'm really going to go to what I would describe as a ladder-based, and I have a lot of specific targets. I got my draft prep right here. I'm going to bring you through some targets and tell you how I kind of broke it down. So in the Yahoo format, just your basic standard players: infield, 3 outfielders, 2 utility. I write those positions down in the notebook. I put my bench spots in between here, and I break up the pitching because I want to build into my bench. I might put an extra bat on the bench. I want to keep my bench kind of in the middle for my late round stuff. And then I write down the pitching spots: 2 SPs, 4 pitching spots, 2 relief pitching spots. And I don't know what I was saying with $200, $260 for the auction. So we're talking about a $260 cap. And then I went kind of position by position. And I looked at who do I like? Here comes the ladder. And I'll just bring you through my ladder. I'm just going to show you the code. At catcher, Gary Sanchez. And and I put a little bracket around so I can put the price in. And I basically take what Yahoo's average auction price, what they're showing in their draft research, and I bump it up a little bit so I can anticipate. I'm not going to get him for what the bot says he's going for. I'm going to have to pay up a little bit. So I got Gary for 25. I'd be okay with Contreras for 10. This is a bump up. Jansen, I might have to pay 5. Mejia. There are my catchers. Quick segue. I left out a catcher. He's got multi-position eligibility from the Red Sox. I forget his name. I'm gonna have to give you to you guys later. Look at their lineup. There's another catcher in Boston that might be serviceable. Going back to the catchers. All right, back into this. I go to first base. And first base, I like Hoskins for 30. Bellinger could be 30, and I could live with Aguilar for 20. I kind of stretch them out. Okay, what do I want to do? I want one of those two big boys. But again, see that I left off some huge guys. I left off Freddie Freeman because at this point I don't want to pay up premium for last season's numbers. I'm not going to necessarily build around that. Second base, I'm really concerned at second base. I don't like it. Javi Baez is listed at 35, but I'm putting him in for like a 40 it might take. Gleyber Torres and Mondesi. Probably either one is going to cost me 25. I got into these guys. I had to dig in. I was like, am I going to be okay with Mondesi? These guys are very similar hitters. They've got similar contact rates. They've got similar barrel rates. The biggest difference is Mondesi has the breakout speed. So I'm kind of looking at my speed option there. I'm leaning towards Mondesi. I think Gleyber's going to be a beast. We'll see which way I go there. And then I could drop to Villar. After that, I don't really like any second baseman down to Garrett Hampson. So I'd have to at some point decide, am I willing to just not really buy a second baseman and deal with Garrett Hampson or fill something else in? Or is it going to be Villar? But if Mondesi's 25 and Villar's 20, I'm going to go with that little bit of sexy, that Mondesi. Third baseman is another area with the problem. You got Bregman for 40, rehab in the elbow, Machado for 40. I mean, these would be major pieces. I'm a little concerned about Machado getting paid and then not playing hard. Or I don't know where he's going to go. I think Chris Bryant is a nice idea. He's going a little bit of a discount this year for 35. But he's been making me nervous. I've been thinking, Bryant's not a superstar. He's a very good player to maybe a star, but I'm missing the extra piece. I told you I don't like his crouchy batting stance. And I think he just was hyped as a prospect. And, injuries are catching up to him, that hard swing. I love Guerrero Jr., but we're getting that news that he's not going to necessarily come up right away. So I might leave him alone in this draft. I'm thinking he's a $30 player. Eugenio Suarez is going to be solid, but he's a $25 player. I'd rather get that little bit more sexy to Vlad. And just to segue on this ladder, so, I've got my pieces to fall back on. So when someone's trying to fight me for the piece that I'm really looking for, I'll go up to a certain level. I'm hoping to cripple, he's pushing me up. I'm hoping to cripple his stack. All right, fine. You want this guy no matter what. Your heart is dead set on that because guys will come into the draft. They don't care what the price is. That was their guy for whatever reason. Make him go up, cripple him, make him overpay, and then you got to drop down the ladder. But this is the thing: when you go down the rung to your next guy, you don't want to start. It's not a slide. You don't want to just to the end. You're going to drop down. You might have to overpay a little bit for the next guy. You got to make sure when you drop down, okay, now I have to get him because if I don't get him, it's going to get a little bit more bottom barrel. So that was my third base, my rungs. Shortstop, Trey Turner, 45. That's premium price. I've fallen in love with Trevor Story. That's where I'm looking to build here. So I got Story for probably $40. Correa, I'm happy for 30. There's a little bit of ambiguity. Story's going to take a lot of bases. Story's sprint speed is top 15 in the league. Those bases are real. I'm sure he's going to keep taking them. Correa's not. Story's going to get the benefit of the park. Correa, so I'm not sure I'll probably pay up. You got Bogarts, $25, but he hasn't flashed the counting stats. We haven't seen 30 of anything from him. Is he going to just go 20-20, but he's safe, he gives you average? And then a guy to push up on your draft board, so I've come around on, is Peraza. Peraza looks like counting stats. He's going to get you power. He's going to run. He's being slept on. He's a nice fallback option in case you got pushed off everything. And then, because this is the first draft of the season, and I want to make myself happy, it's going to be Ronald Acuna. He's listed at 40. I allocated 50 for him. And honestly, I'm willing to go up to 60. I'll spend that first of the 260, the first 60, your first round player. Get whoever you want, spend up for him. For me, it's Ronaldinho. Ronaldinho Acuna is coming on the team. You're gonna if they're gonna get me off of them, I'm gonna cripple their stack. You're gonna pay Trout money plus to get Acuna away from me. Bryce Harper I got for 40. Tendy's at 35, and then I got Soto's probably a $35 piece. Again, I'm kind of overvaluing these guys. So in the draft, let me bring you back to the slush fund idea. I haven't laid a slush fund out here, but that's the idea of like, so you're starting at 260. Just take 20 off the top. Don't allocate it to players. So 20 is over here. You got 240 to spend. And what happens in that little slush fund is if somebody, all of a sudden they're fighting you for your Soto, you got $20 of extra unallocated money that you can fight with. But if you get value, if Soto comes at 28, 25, they're not that aggressive, I'll put 10 back into the slush fund. And now where you talked about the pitching and what I want to spend on pitching, it's a give and take. It's a push and pull from the rest of the draft. If I start getting a lot of value, if my plan goes out, if I don't overpay for Mondesi, if I don't overpay for Soto, I will suddenly realize, oh my goodness, I'm going to jump up a pitcher tier. I'm going to jump up and get an extra guy, and I'll give you my pitchers after. And so that's where, if I'm going to buy another player, it might not be another bat because I need the roster spots for some late outfielders, but it could be a better pitcher. It's basically the plan. So that's my outfield one. My outfield two, I'm just listing more outfielders I want. I listed Bellinger here. If I don't get Bellinger at first, I'd like to get him in the outfield. And I know at some point in one of my auctions, I'm going to do the Bellinger-Hoskins stack, but I'm not going to get obsessed with that in this one. I think I'll have enough speed. I can wait on Bellinger. I do like Eloy for 15, Puig for 20. Again, which one of those two do you want? Maybe I'll take the little bit cheaper Eloy. Robles might cost me 15. Conforto might cost me 15. And then it gets cheap. Laureano, Brantley, Pollock. Some cheaper options to round out the outfield. I'll get back into my $1 options. But let's go down to the pitchers. Skip the 5 bench spots. I got my SP, ones, and they're tiered out. So if I was going to pay premium dollars, it's 40 for Jake DeGrom. But would you rather have Jake DeGrom or do you want two pieces? Do you want a Clevenger and a Barrios? They're both maybe allocated for 20. Snell is a $35 piece. Kershaw not coming at a discount, 30. Walker Buehler, 30. Buehler is my ace here. If I was going to break an ace out, it'd be a $30 Buehler. I'd like to get him for cheap. Let's say I get pushed up. I don't have enough money. I looked at Carrasco and Bauer, one tier down for 25 each. If I have to give up the 20, I'm not getting $25 aces because I was filling out my middle infield, just my first base, second base, shortstop, third. I just want that to be locks. I want to love those guys. I don't want to be chasing or running old men out there or playing, guessing and swapping guys in and out. So I kind of lock that infield up. If I have to drop down again, I got $20 Flaherty, $20 Barrios. Like I mentioned, $20 Clevenger. Okay, I got to go a layer lower. Marquez is 15 and Wheeler is 15. I did a little conversation. I like Wheeler more than Taillon. Taillon, the hype train is going crazy. Sleeper in the bust is all over him. And so it's spread everywhere. And you can see Taillon is being priced higher than Wheeler. Wheeler is a better player. That's where I'm at. He's got harder stuff. He's got more stuff. He suppresses home runs. So I can live with Wheeler. So now, see, these are if I get Marquez and Wheeler as my 1 and my 2, it's not great, but I'll show you the names of how I fill this out. And it's specific guys, the $5 to $1 pitchers that I have to have. The only way this works is that I get the right late upside here. And I think what's happened, the reason you're hearing guys saying, I'm just going to get pitching early, I'm just going to get starters, is because they didn't understand pitching that well last season. They overpaid and guys got hurt or they're picking the wrong guys and their staff wasn't that good. And they feel that the only way to get better is to go up and just get guys they knew were good last season. Like, that's it. I'm going to get Scherzer. I'm going to get Snell. I'm going to get just another guy, the Boston guy. And they overcompensate that way. But to me, the strategy hasn't really changed. I'm going to keep getting the late guys that didn't get overvalued. It was Snell last year. Now I can't have him. So I've got to find someone else. I drop down, I'll be happy with Castillo's got to be a piece. I think Bieber's a piece. I think Glasnow's a piece. Eovaldi, if he's free. John Gray, I'll try again. And then I have to have some Kikuchi because I think he's going so cheap, and it's just what's in the box. Just surprise me. Just, oh, Kikuchi. Reyes has to be on the squad. I don't care about the former injuries. This guy is top 10 filth. He's not getting away from me. That's where, I'm going cheap, but Reyes is my 3. And if he gets injured and if he's out for the season, he doesn't do it, that's fine because there's my whole bench is starters. And I'm going to stream and I'm going to find guys in season. Josh James, have to have a little piece of that. Lucchesi, Forrest Whitley, I'll wait for the call-up. I'll stash. I'll take Whitley. I'm waiting on that. Closers-wise, I'll write stuff in there, but it's not going to happen because I'm already struggling for money. I'm struggling to get the infield that I want. I'm missing out on outfielders that I want, and you're gonna pay more than $10 for Yates or $10 for Doolittle. A $20 closer. It's not going to happen. So the relievers-wise, I drop down. Maybe Knebel. He seems to be devalued. Seranthony Dominguez, questionable if he has the role, going for free. Bradley, Strope, Hicks at St. Louis, the fireballer. And just to touch on RP, there won't be no RPs because I like to have some RP in those average pitching spots. So they'll go out there, run 4 of them out there, 4, 5, that are just good ratio, hard-throwing Ks, RPs, because they'll get busy through the week. Even if they're not saving, they'll come in a game, they'll strike some guys out. They'll help pull some of that not ace talent I'm using. They'll help pull some of those ratios down, and I want them in there working when my starters aren't working. And then there's a couple more late pitchers. I'll be happy with Jesus Luzardo, Jimmy Nelson, Kenta Maeda, Ronaldo Lopez, Matz, and Rodon. So that's a lot of guys. Those are a lot of arms. If I'm going to get a whole bunch of Kikuchi, Reyes, Josh James, Bieber, Castillo, I don't need that many starters. And that's why it might only be Marquez and Wheeler high. So when I really looked at my breakdown, I might be spending almost 200 on hitting, 190, 200, and trying to spend 60 on pitching, trying to spend even less. And then just some late bats I want to touch on. Nimmo, Winker, if he gets the job, he's just a really good hitter. He doesn't have the role. DeJong, for some reason, DeJong went high in the snake, but he is undervalued in the auction. We'll see what he really goes for. Meadows, I'll wait on Tatis Jr. You got to watch out. Senzel may open the season at center field. So in this draft, Senzel's going to go for nothing because we don't even think he's starting. But as the season wears on and they start going, Senzel looks like he's going to win the opening day starting outfielder spot, all of a sudden Senzel's a real player. All of a sudden Senzel's going for 20, 25. Adames, Yo Moncada for 5. Bowers, Kepler. Notice Minnesota signed Kepler. They know how good he is. The only thing that didn't come around for Kepler last season was his BABIP. So if he just gets regular luck, if he gets luckier again, he's going to be solid. Minnesota knows it. They paid him. They also paid Polanco, their little leadoff hitter. He makes great contact. He's going to be busy scoring runs. Garrett Hampson's going for nothing. Ahmed Rosario is a future value $65 player. Buxton's going for $1. Take a shot on him. Mullins 2, Voit Sano. So I've got some hitters that I can round out with late in case I got pushed off stuff, but I'm mostly going to be paying the premium for some of those top guys. And I come with you with some confidence. I will give you a definitive answer. But again, there's variables. We don't know the kind of work these guys put in the offseason. Some of the things may not happen the way I think. I'm trying to be more certain by looking at the numbers and what's possible, but I'm banking on a little bit of growth. The catcher I was talking about in Boston, Blake Swihart, you got to look at him. He'll probably be an option. He'll bounce around. I just had a couple of notes here. I'm down on Josh Donaldson. The contact rates fell off. I think he burned himself out. He's tired. I'm not paying up for that. I don't understand why Tim Anderson is so expensive. He's looking like a $10 player, and I get that he has a lot of speed. He's power speed. He could get better, but his average is low. There's a lot of swing and miss. I feel like he's a pretty pricey guy. D. Gordon is really expensive for being older and only stealing bases and for swinging at everything. Has good contact rates, but never walks. He's a little bit of an issue. I think Pollock and Brantley are coming at value. These guys are both really good. They're going to hit in the middle of their lineups and they're going to produce, but they're a little bit old men, so I'm not going to necessarily pay for them here, but they're safe to trust and they're just devalued. Those guys are probably worth 25 or 30, but they're going for 15 and 12. I like Jack Flaherty, but I don't know if he's $20 Jack Flaherty. I think he's a little expensive at 20. I love Forrest Whitley. I love Forrest Whitley. I love how tall he is. I think he's the number one pitching prospect. And then he gets to come and play for Houston, who's going to manage him properly. So I think a Whitley stash is important. I don't know why DeJong is going for $1, like I mentioned. I think he's a real serious, solid shortstop candidate. He seems to just be picking it up. We know he's got hard hit. He's got power. And St. Louis is talking about he may hit third in the lineup, which would just, his value would skyrocket. Bo Bichette is a sleeper that's going late. His dad played in the league. He's over there with Vlad. But what is Toronto's not going to bring him up either? If they're not going to bring up Vlad, why would they bring up Bichette? I'd much rather stash Tatis Jr., who's got some swing and miss, but he's in San Diego. Tatis Jr. is going to probably get a taste at some point. He may just force his way up. And then I'm just, this is the podcast shit that's going around. Justin Mason, again with it. He says to punt average. He wants to punt average. And this I tried punting average last season. It didn't work. That was the worst team I had. I had a bunch of teams. I did a team where I'm just going to hit power and I'm going to punt average, and it didn't work. This is why, because average is an underlying metric to other things, to runs and to steals. If you can't get on base, you can't score runs or you can't steal bases, and you're going to go through dry spells. So to punt average, I mean, be okay with a couple low average guys if the counting stats are there, but to punt average, you'll look at your team some weeks and they just won't do anything. They won't make runs, they won't make RBI. I'm not punting average. I listened to a different pod. This one I say a whole separate pod. It was probably last season when they said that average is really the missing piece. The difference between premium power, 25 home run that you got to pay for, is 25 home runs with 280 average. You're Jose Abreu. But if you punt average, you're convincing yourself that you'll settle for Justin Smoke and you'll take his 24 home runs at 240. But they're going to be spread out. He's not going to score runs. He might not drive in as many RBI as Abreu, who's safer. So I don't agree with punting average. I think that people saying that is crazy. I don't think multi-position eligibility, as I mentioned before, is something that should really vault guys up to another level. You just want to slide them over to the weaker position. Slide them over to where they're most valuable, and that's where they're going to stay, because you can fill in. There's always going to be outfielders. I mean, my goodness, there's going to be outfielders. And a lot of times your utility spot is going to be outfielders. So those are my tips. This is it. This is the final structure. I came down, and so we'll see. I'll give you some feedback on how this auction went. We'll see if I can get what I really wanted. And I think this is the difference. So these guys are telling you to go into the draft and spend 175 and 60 and just kind of figure it out and take whoever and try to take value. But I'm targeting players. I'm getting a team that I really like. Acuna, my first pick, a $50 player. Story for 40. That drops me down. I've got $170 left. I'm going to get Hoskins. I'd like to get him for 30. I'd like to get Mondesi for about 25. I said, okay, that's going to be about $60. I got 110 left. I want a piece of Soto. That brings for 35. That brings me down to $75. I want a piece of Eloy. That brings me down to $60. So I just named 6 hitters that I'm going to spend my whole stack on. I can spend $30 on starting pitching. That's going to be 2 guys, probably Marquez and Wheeler. I've got 2 aces. And that leaves me with $30 at the end, and I have to just stop bidding. Pull the parachute, stop bidding, save a little bit, because now I've got to win late night. I've got to win at the end of the draft. I have to make sure that no one gets me off of Reyes. I have to make sure I get Kikuchi. Ronaldo Lopez, probably stash Whitley if I could get Glass now. So I want to get a little bit of those pieces at the very end and make sure that I can round my team out and fill in with the late guys that I like. I can still put Hampson on there. I'll probably get a piece of Senzel, Mullins too, and kind of fill out the rest of my roster. That's kind of my game plan. And I overestimated what would be allocated for these guys because I don't want to be surprised and I don't want to get scared and go, oh no, he didn't come for $18 in 1920. Oh, that's too much. I'll just think it out and I'll get somebody else. So I've already kind of planned to be over. And as much as I get some value there, maybe Eloy comes a little cheaper, I'll dump it into the pitching. The other thing I can hope, as I'm looking at the curve, you're going to have the expensive players. It's the ones in the middle. It's the 18s to 20s when they're going to go for different stuff. I mean, a $25 player, if he's loved, who, Benintendi? Well, Benintendi's 35, even maybe Puig. These guys might suddenly get bid up. But if I can keep the auction a little pricey, I can sweep down and see some value in those $20 guys. We got to see what the bots are going to do. And then there's going to be a break, and that's the stuff I don't want. That's the stuff I don't want that's overpriced. That's the old men. That's the pitching that I don't want, the relievers that I don't want, the catchers I don't want, and just put them into the draft. And then remember, my main tip is that when the value slips down, to get your sleepers, like when I'm going to nominate Reyes, it's when I got the bots out of the way, when players are going between $6, $8, $10, everybody's tightened up. Nominate your guy. Nominate your guy. Don't wait till the end of the draft. Somebody who completely messed up will have a huge stack, and he'll swoop in and he gets guys that he wants. So I will push some of my starters in there. If I'm going in the first round, there's enough big money out, and it's time to get Acuna, I might put him in there. You know, Mondesi might be a guy that I just wait. And then again, because I have a plan, if someone comes out and they say, pick one, Alberto Mondesi, here we go. I already know because it's part of my structure. I've got some options. It's a balance between agility and getting what you want. Hopefully that gave you a feel. Hopefully that gave you a feel for how you would get after your auction, how I structure it, how I kind of laid it out. Think about your ladder. Think about who you drop down and take. Big shout out to all my subscribers. Welcome in the new subscribers. Thank you for coming in. Apparently you guys like the content. You want to get some more of it. It's motivating me to bring you more, better stuff. I'm just staying locked in. Shout out to the OGs. You guys are hitting me with the comments, questions. I got my boy hitting me up on Twitter. I look at Twitter. I probably go onto Twitter. If you just at me and write me a question, I'll answer that. I'll go onto YouTube. It takes me a day or two to jump onto YouTube, answer those comments. You got the email if it's long form. Get at me whatever way you want. I'm going to get back at you with how this turned out and see if I have any more information for the bots, for what happened. We'll do the post-cap. We'll do the debrief. Thanks for coming into the war room. I'm getting pumped. I'm 2 hours from this auction. I'm going to give me some Ronald Acuna. Let's go.